Here.
Director Hudson. Director Mueller.
Here.
Director Staton. Vice President Byers. And President Petroff.
Here. This one we don't need to do the pledge just yet. We'll do that next one. Do we have any public comments for the tax hearing? No? Okay. So any, just, all right, do I have a motion for adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, we'll give a minute to Amy to switch over her computer to do business meeting. All right, so now we are officially starting the business meeting, so could we all rise to the pledge of allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And then we have roll call.
Director here. Director Cuneo.
Here.
Director Hudson. Director Mueller.
Here.
Director Staton. Vice President Byers. And President Petroff.
Here. All right. So first, we have recognitions and presentations. For 2.01, we have Missouri Retired Teachers Association, the MRTA, grant recipient. If you would like to come up.
We've been here before.
Yeah.
If you're here, we love to come, and you love to see us, don't you? Because we have money. I want to tell you, we do this every year. It is from the retired educators all across the country. Yes, all across the state. And I am Nancy Craig. I am proud to be past president of MRTA as of this year. They gave me presents and everything, so I know I'm retired now. So anyway, we come with two $500 grant checks from two of your teachers this year. Last year, I don't remember how many, but this year, how many, Sandy, altogether from SSD did we award?
We had 7 SSD people who got grants either from Missouri Retired Teachers Foundation or from Region 14 or Region 8. And we, because you've covered the whole area. And then we also had 3 additional ones that our particular unit raised money for. So we've got 3 additional ones there too.
So we had quite a few applications this year. It took us a long time to read those applications, and because we have SSD teachers reading them, it took twice as long. Because they go, well, I think she's a 10.25678%. Oh, it's just so much fun. Anyway, we're proud to be here, and normally I bring your pink pen, so next year when I come, we'll give you 2, because we don't have any pink pens this year, but we do have money.
Yay!
So, Sandy, do you want to come over here and tell them?
I would, if you'll take some pictures. We took some pictures out of the alcove. What are we doing? Take pictures.
Okay.
Okay. Now, we have 2 people that we have actually not given the grant to yet, mainly because they were based out of central office. So we want Christine Manola. And this is the big. This is the check she really took. $500 grant. Okay. And then we have Danielle Cerrone Griffin, and actually you may recognize them. Christine got the original Patty Dean grant back in 2016, and then Danielle got it in 2017, and so now, like 6 and 7 years later, here they are again. Larry, I'd like for you to come up.
Okay, you're gonna have to do something.
Okay, and then I'm going to introduce everybody, okay? But, we wanted to let you know who, you've met Larry Dean over the years, some of you've met, come on up. Larry Dean provided the original funds for the start of Patty Dean Memorial Grant. And this is over and above MRTF, which, you know, they also do. So if you want to just mention a little bit, Larry, and then I'll introduce others. I put him on the spot. He didn't know anything.
2015, my wife, Patty Dean, passed away due to cancer. And at that time, I was working for a company out of the city that provided benefits for the Missouri Retired Teachers Association. I had the opportunity of coming before this group, giving a presentation one time about our benefits, and I was so impressed with what they're doing. You would too, if you went over their meetings, you really do. I decided we would give the money that was donated in her. We would give that back to MRTA as long as they would give it back this particular unit. First time they've ever done that. I think it's the only time it's ever happened in the history of MRTA to have a special recognition. They're small amounts, they really are. Sometimes I think a pat on the back is as good as a pat on the back. In this case, they get both. And I think that's wonderful that we're able to get this going. That was right in the middle of that when it all started. Sandy went to a lot of people. They're going to perpetuate it. They've been doing it anyway. They raise money every year to make sure that these grants are given out. I think that's wonderful. Why we picked this particular one is my late wife was, she worked in the state capitol. And she was a lobbyist on behalf of special education students. Her youngest son was a special education student. She didn't think he was being treated fairly, frankly. She wanted better. Just because you're born with a slight limitation doesn't mean you should be slighted in life. That was her philosophy, day one. Even though she never taught in the school system, I've never taught in the school system, we're big believers in special education. Honored her as a special education teacher. Not here, where she was, but she's in Vermont. But I think that this is wonderful what you're doing, and all you folks that are coming here to support your board, do as much as you can, and hopefully ask one of them sometime, maybe they should be also coming up with some grants. Anyway, thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Let me introduce the other people, but I also want to mention to you that a number of us just got back from, I have to say where we were, the Lodge of the Four Seasons. And while we were down there, they had a silent auction, and they also had a virtual auction, raising funds for teacher grants. And our unit alone raised $950. That's almost the equivalent of 2 grants. And that just shows you the dynamic group that we have. And let me also introduce, this is the president of our SSD Suburban REA group, Pat May. Hiding in the back is Bonnie Kramer, and you've met Bonnie in the past, and she is the secretary and the treasurer, so we like having her around a whole lot, as we do Pat too. Okay. Then we also have John and Judy Cole. They've been here, I believe, several years ago. And then we have from Region 14, we have Velma Bailey. 2 more people who won grants in Region 14, and I don't see them tonight, and Velma doesn't either, but there were 2 more people who received grants. So in the meantime, what I'm going to do is go ahead and introduce our other people, okay? First off, we have Dawn Andel, and I have these in alphabetical order. Okay, Dawn Andel, and she's from Southview School, and her grant title is called Creating Comfort in the Classroom, and correct me if I'm wrong, beanbag chairs and rugs for the kids, okay? So this is Dawn. Next to her is, no, it's not. Loretta Schnurbush, did I get it? Okay. She's from South County Tech, and her grant was Skills USA, Preparing for Leadership in the World of Work. And some of the things that they were wanting to purchase were clothing to enhance professionalism when they go out into the different communities and around, but didn't you go to DC and?
Right, concept of state, yeah.
They went to many, many different places. Okay, then next to her, we have Teresa Theone, and she's special school district, and she was a para. And when we went out there to give out the grants, there were so many special school district people there. It was really neat. And plus her area coordinator was there. But she's at Shenandoah Valley and Parkway, and her grant was called Preschool Life Skills in ABA. And some of the things that they wanted the money for was for books and sensory items, okay? And actually, the grant that Teresa received was one that I personally donated in memory of my sister. So it was just wonderful closure and meant so much to me, as she loves special ed children too, okay? Then Clementine Carberry is not here, but she's from Region 14, and she's in Ferguson, Florissant. She wrote a grant called Rocketing Readers. Then Cynthia Bodeker-Myers in Region 14 wrote a grant, and she was from Ferguson Middle School. And hers was Farm to Table Extensions. And then going back over here to Danielle, she wrote a county-wide grant, and it was called Teaching Core Language Through Play. And some of the things you wanted were like play-based manipulatives. Am I correct? I'm trying to think of ways to capitalize it. And Christine also is county-wide. And her grant was titled Access for All, and it was key guards, for iPads. Okay, am I correct? So that's basic. Did I miss anybody?
But just the winners, they competed against, how many did we put together? Almost 50.
We had a total of 51 grants. We had more grants than any other region in the entire state of Missouri.
And there's 40.
So that just shows you this team goes over and above. They have them all. We also had additional grants. You doubled, in Region 14, they doubled their grants too. And one of the things is we all came out to your health fair and we handed out grant applications and let people know, and they didn't know these grants were available. So it helps. We thank you for letting us come to the health fair. We love it. Okay. Anyone want to add a word? Pat?
Pat has some information. Paper for me. With information.
Pat has some information.
Ends for next year.
Two pits. Next year.
Thank you very much.
We get everybody together. Yeah.
That would really put on board right.
Of all of our winners from the board.
Thank you.
You want the board behind? Here.
Behind, so we'll just move back, they're gonna move that table.
Yeah. Are we staying up here too?
Yes.
Okay.
They were, yes.
Can you get the units?
Thank you.
No.
It takes the whole community. All the time.
Thank you, ready?
Wait, come on. Thank you. Another one. What else? Come on, Sandy. Okay.
Thank you. We'll be back.
Thank you for allowing us to come.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, that.
Gotta get back to Kansas City now.
Must be a relative. Check, okay? Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Next on our agenda, we have the Special Education Foundation.
Good evening. Do we have, you're able to get the PowerPoint?
Yes, technology's got it. Thank you.
As that gets set up, that's a tough act to follow.
Yeah, there you go, Tim.
Those folks are really dedicated to what they do, and I will share their joy of giving out money. It is a great thing to be able to do that. Good, there's our PowerPoint. My name is Tim Eby. I'm the Executive Director of the Special Education Foundation, and let's see if I can, okay. Does this clicker work? Because I'm striking out. Oh, there we go. I'm just so pleased to be here. It's been about 18 months since I started this role back in April of 2022, and it has been just a joy in helping to lead this organization and working with our partners at SSD to help the students and the teachers and the parents of those students succeed and improve their lives. Our mission, for those of you who are not aware, but I think all of you are probably on this board, you're veteran members of this Board of Education. Our mission is to really step in when tax dollars will not be there to support the students or teachers. That is our mission, to assist students with disabilities in St. Louis County in achieving success in ways not supported by tax dollars. And so it's really something that we live with every day, and we think about ways to help our students and help teachers. But we wouldn't be able to do it without the team of people behind what we do at SEF. We have a great board of directors, an 11-member board led by Mike Corey, who has 2 grandchildren who receive services from SSD. And Mike is just passionate about helping kids, and it's great to have his leadership as well as the leadership of all of the board. And we have some great staff as well. 2 of our staff are here tonight, our 2 other full-time people. Shannon Benedict is our Program and Communications Manager. Shannon has been with us since late January, early February, and manages the programs and manages the communications messages to build our programs out, and has just been doing a sensational job. She comes with a background as a former teacher and marketing professional as well, and so she brings those skills to light in a great way. And our newest member is Jill Salinas. Jill is our events manager, who, among other things, coordinates our golf tournament that's coming up in 2 weeks. And it's amazing that she's not crying or pulling her hair out, because we are less than 2 weeks away from a golf tournament, which looks to be sunny skies and 76 degrees on Monday, October 9th. So we have a great team of folks at SEF that really do so much to I think, really keep the mission going with what we do. The programs that we offer at SEF, I think, make a difference in the lives of kids and support our teachers in so many ways. Our Classroom Innovation Grants, which has been formerly known as Teacher Mini Grants, this year we've changed the name, and we are right now in application process for teachers applying for those grants. We provide specialized equipment including hearing aids, eyeglasses, and adaptive and assistive equipment. SEF provides scholarships for college-bound students who receive services from SEF. We send kids to camp, and both throughout the summer, as well as we are getting now applications for kids to attend camp during breaks in the winter and spring breaks as well. We have a critical needs program that I saw that on the agenda is the family and community engagement program here at SSD. We work very closely with FACE on our critical needs program. And we also provide grants to the SSD schools through our SEF Women Leaders, and we also run the Fred Tsai Leadership Academy, which makes a difference in high school students learning leadership skills, so that they can gain these skills about the community and civic leadership and take them back to their schools to help support the schools that they attend across St. Louis County. just want to briefly run down for you. There we go. Got it. All right. A few of the highlights from just the last fiscal year. Our fiscal year runs from July through June, and over the 12 months during that period, SEF provided support for nearly 6,000 students across St. Louis. That includes more than 90 grants for teachers with our Classroom Innovation Program, totaling about $65,000. Those grants are now being, teachers and educators as part of the SSD are using those grant dollars now over the course of this school year. We awarded those back in January and February, and the teachers will use those during this school year. We have been attending a few of those activities and have more coming up. And it's just great to see how the teachers come up with these great ideas that we allow us to fund. More than 75 students received support for hearing aids, for eyeglasses, for adaptive and assistive equipment that help gain independence for those students. We provided financial assistance to send 30 students to camps all across the St. Louis area, as well as some across the Midwest. And we focused our funding to help students, particularly students who are in the Tier 2 and Tier 3 school districts in St. Louis County. Our principal grant program, which is funded by our women leaders at SEF, provided $10,000 in grants to the 5 SSD schools. And for the first time ever, we also provided grants to the Bridges program and the Juvenile Detention Center, which we felt was very, very rewarding to provide the support for those two programs in school. Our French Side Leadership Academy, and Dr. Keenan, you have been a great supporter of that, and I thank you, returned to full in-person sessions last school year with 14 students participating throughout the year. Our college scholarships that we provided college scholarships for 6 students, the John Kerry scholarships totaling $1,500, and our critical needs program supported students and families throughout St. Louis County, including our coat drive and our personal care campaign that we underwent. I'd like to share with you just a couple of stories about the real impact of those students that we impacted. And our first story is William. William is a 3rd grader who we helped attend Camp Alick in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Now, Camp Alick is designed for children aged 8 to 21 who never thought they could go to a typical camp independently. The camp provides highly skilled, compassionate counselors who attend to all the children's needs. They brought in 2 doctors to train therapists and teachers who then worked with William. William's family received, and I'm sure the teachers love this, 5 pages of suggestions on how to grow his literacy that they plan to incorporate into making changes in his IEP based on those suggestions. And this camp also brought in their special school district speech language pathologist, Megan Werner, who was in the photograph here on the screen. She was able to attend the camp training as well. So what a great experience. And William's mother wrote to us after the experience and said, without the grant, we would have had to cut quarters elsewhere to make it work. This would have been difficult on our family and affected our younger boys. It was so easy that the financial aspect was taken out of the picture, allowing us to only focus on the needs of our son and the excitement of camp. That's William, and we made a difference in his life. Sarah is our next story. Sarah is one of our John Kerry Scholarship recipients. She graduated from Bayless High School last spring. I think you've met her before, in fact. She graduated in the spring, is now attending UPSL, pursuing a bachelor's degree in biotechnology. Sarah is described as a devout student who gives 100% to every task given to an exemplary student. Among her strengths in her application, she and her teachers wrote academic excellence, determination, and resilience. She's hardworking and a strong advocate for herself. She has a long list of activities in and outside of school, including the Technology Student Association, Health Occupation Students of America, National Honor Society, and Sarah was a participant in SEF's Fred Sci Leadership Program. And the Board of Education, also recognized her for her efforts in participating in the Young Scientists Program. That's Sarah Brooks, one of our John Kerry Scholarship recipients. A couple more stories. I would like to share with you the story of Vivi. Vivi is one of our adaptive equipment recipients. She received an iPad for communicating after graduating from high school in May. She's been participating in a program now offered by St. Louis University's Speech and Pathology Department to assist individuals using communications devices. She's attended a few of those sessions in the summer and is continuing to do that in the fall. Her parents tell us that she occasionally needs encouragement to use the device to communicate, but they see her using it more and more as a tool used for her, beyond being a tool used for her schoolwork and as a benefit to communicating with others. And shortly after receiving the device, she went with her dad to the grocery store, and while grocery shopping, she was on the juice aisle. She used the device to say she wanted cranberry juice. And finally, I'd like to share with you our Leadership Academy students, our Fred Sy Leadership Academy students. And among those are Vivian Lang. Vivian, let me pop back here, sorry about that. Vivian Lang is pictured in the top right corner in this. Vivian is our C.J. Aubuchon Award winner from last year. And that award goes to a student who exemplifies the qualities of kindness, consideration of others, thoughtfulness, supportive of others, articulate, polite, and responsible. And you see this stuffed animal there with her on at the podium. She made that. She has learned how to do that, and actually has created a few animals that we'll be using in our golf tournament as part of our silent auction. Vivian goes to Afton High School, where she's, I believe, a senior there. Is she a senior now, I think, Shannon? Yeah, I think she's a junior. Or a senior. I think she's a senior there now, but she's doing great. And some of the other photos that you see here on the screen, our students from our Leadership Academy went to the Holocaust Museum here in St. Louis. They met with County Executive Sam Page. They participated in helping put together baskets to help others in their nonprofit setting that they had, and they also visited the county jail. So it's just a tremendous experience for these students throughout the year. They just had their car wash this past Saturday here in the parking lot at SSD. So that's some of the stories of the students. Now, the way that we're able to do this and help these kids and their parents is through incredible support from the community. Last year, we raised $686,212 in donations. It was a 42% increase over the previous year. Now, the majority of our revenue comes from our events. The Dan McLaughlin Charity Golf Tournament is our major event. That brought in about 64% of our total contributions. This year's tournament, as I mentioned, is Monday, October 9th. I know that several of you on this board has been there in the past, and we certainly hope to see you there again. I also want to make a note to all of the SSD staff. We have just an incredible amount of volunteer support from SSD staff that support this event. And not only that, but they also make a tremendous impact from donations. We had, I think, more than $20,000 in support from SSD staff last year, and that includes members of this Board of Education. We also received substantial support from area foundations. The Tillis Foundation supports our adaptive equipment program, and the Sy Foundation supports the Fred Sy Leadership Program. Looking ahead for SAF, we have a number of initiatives that we're really focused on, and the big one of the big ones for us is to just grow our programs, to reach more kids that need help, and to focus on those students with the greatest need. We're doing that through partnerships. We've aligned ourselves with the Star Cloth Disability Institute, with Paraquad. We are working very closely with the Recreation Council of St. Louis to help support kids going to camp, and we're looking for new partnerships every day because we want to stretch our nonprofit dollars as much as we can. One of the other things that we've been doing that I don't think we've done previously is really get out and do a lot of outreach to parents and teachers. We've attended several back-to-school events over the course of this back-to-school period up in Jennings and Riverview Gardens and in other areas where districts are bringing parents in to just to inform them about the things that we can provide to support their kids. And the final piece is just increased visibility in the community. Over my time here in the last year and a half, we've increased our newsletters. If you aren't receiving our 3 Things newsletter that we publish every Thursday, let me know. gladly add you to the list. And all of that is really built around trying to grow our programs and to add new programs as well. And we have 3 programs that we are looking to roll out during this next 12 months. The first is called the Mobility Project. And we work closely with the staff of SSD to come up with this idea. The focus around it is to provide power mobility devices for children to try out in a supportive school environment. So what we're looking to try to do is to put 5 motorized wheelchairs into schools across St. Louis County so students can learn about this. One of the things that I had discovered was for a child to have their family get a wheelchair that's covered by insurance, the child has to prove they can operate the wheelchair. The only way to do that is that the child needs to learn how to operate a wheelchair. And if you don't have a wheelchair to operate it, the child's not going to be able to pass that test. And so what we are looking to do is to put motorized wheelchairs into schools so these students can learn it under the supervision of SSD staff, and so that they can go back to the insurance companies and provide that support so that these students can have the independence of a motorized wheelchair. We think it's just a fantastic opportunity to really have an impact on kids. The next program is one we're calling the Autism Independence Project. And with that one, we're really seeking to address the challenges facing students living with autism in developing the social skills they need to successfully become independent using this platform called iSocial. It's a university research-based program that has the power to transform students from a life on assistance to a full life of contributing to society. The program will target the root causes of social skills struggles. The program has been proven effective in 17 peer-reviewed studies, and its aim is to radically improve the lives of people with autism so they can enjoy independent lives with meaningful employment and good friends. And we're looking to build this pilot this year. Is an after-school program that we hope to build out later this year. The final program we've already started is called Arts in the Classroom. And with that, we initiated the program last year with a performance of James and the Giant Peach by the Imaginary Theater Company from the Rep at Ackerman School. This year we have several other performances lined up, including the Metro Theater Company performing a play called Maddie's Fridge, which is about food insecurity. And that's going to be performed at Ackerman School on Wednesday, October 4th at 1 p.m. You're all invited to attend. And we also have arts performances planned for later this year at Litzinger and Southview. So that's what's happening with SEF. I'd love to share with you or answer any questions. I had one other, I guess we shut that down. So I'd love to share with you or have it answer any questions you might have, but truly appreciate all the support that this Board of Education provides to us, as well as the staff at SSD. We really appreciate it.
Have you, probably already have, but at our PAC meetings, which are on Zoom now?
We attended the in-person PAC meeting 2 weeks ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago we were there, and we have several of the district PAC meetings. So we're very engaged in that as a way to reach out. So thank you for that suggestion. Yeah. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you. Next on our agenda, we have public comments. I believe we have one today, and Ms. Bailey. You can come on up. I'll read while you're walking. Welcome to the Special School District of St. Louis County Board of Education Business Meeting. Up to 30 minutes of each Board of Education business meeting will be set aside to hear public comments. The Board of Education values your input and thanks for your comments. Each comment is limited to 3 minutes to address any item that is a legitimate part of the business of the board. No confidential, no personnel related topics are allowed. Comments will be read in order that they were received. Contents of the email and sender's name and address have been submitted to the Secretary of Board and will become part of the official public record of the meeting. All right, Ms. Bailey?
Thank you very much, and I'm very glad to be here today. And thank you, Madam President, for the foundation for my presentation. I would like to speak to you and the members of the board, respectively, about providing swimming lessons for students with special needs. I came here to be part of the MRTA presentation, but felt as I was coming in, to sign up and make just an appeal for the board to look into a program that would help distinguish special education students in their own individual levels of leadership. They would be a leader among themselves and also among their peers. I retired from the St. Louis Public School District, and I was a teacher for 26 years and served in several roles, but most affectionately as a special education teacher. After I retired, and which has been for the last 11 years, I had founded a not-for-profit in my neighborhood, and it's a grassroots program, and we started out with a 3-week back-to-school safety program after a boy was shot and then later pronounced dead getting off his bus. But, as you know, if you build it, they will come. So from a 3-week camp now that started in 2012, 3-week camp, we are now a 10-week camp. We run from 8 o'clock to 6. We charge no fees for our services. We're able to get a whole host of volunteers and partner with many, at least 50 of the cultural institutions and other agencies that are in the St. Louis region. Because as we all do and our region does, we want safe, supervised locations for young people so that they can develop paradigms for lifelong success. For special education students, being in a program where they can learn to use their skills, learn how to focus, and also use skills to learn how to transfer, especially social and emotional skills, back into their natural environment, into their home life, is something that we all look for and aspire to, and then are bound to by our jobs as teachers. But in addition to just being a job, this is an opportunity to help a child learn to have positive well-being. They can learn skills in fitness and other activities that they can transfer to not only their home, but to their school life and to their work world. They can also learn balance, coordination, and they can improve their range of motion and especially their focus. And for many children, if they participate in lessons like this with the general population, often they, not necessarily intentionally, but are isolated and not able to fully participate as they would if they had smaller lessons or if they were geared just for children with special needs. According to the National Autism Association, drowning is among the leading cause of death for children with autism, and following that, special education children in general. While the children are learning these skills, we have had an opportunity in our program to grow from our summer camp to after-school programming to Saturday activities. We do overnight camping with the kids. We take them on bike trails, 6 different trails, 4 or 5 hours on Saturdays. But you can see the kids, especially the ones that learn how to swim. They get to be the leader of the activity. They get a chance to share with their family and their friends the skills that they built. And all the kids that we had 85 kids from March until May of this year in swimming lessons. And the children that had special needs were all able to jump into deep. They learned lots of skills. They were able to jump into deep, push off the bottom of the pool, and then tread water for the amount of time that the lifeguards gave them. And it was a great feat for them. Some of those children also were able to transfer, and they were leaders of our bike trail because they had developed a sense of confidence and they could conquer activities. And one of the boys actually led our 10-mile bike trip on Grants Trail. So I'd like to encourage you to look into this avenue for the children and to build up their skills and help them be all they can be in this great world that we all want to create. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you.
And I was glad to be behind the foundation person because I'm probably going to ring his bell.
You got it.
Thank you again.
Thank you. All right, for 4.01, do I have a motion for 4.01, approve agenda?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, for the superintendent report, 5.01, we've got family and community engagement, which is space for structure.
Kind of timely, I was trying to get her name and information
Yes,
so that I could pass it on to Kate, which we're gonna talk about next.
You read my mind.
So, good evening, President Potroff, Board of Education, Dr. Keenan. My name is Molly Bolton, and I am the Executive Director of Teaching, Learning, and Accountability.
And I am Phil Boyd, Chief Culture Officer. And tonight we are going to be presenting on the restructure of the Division of Family and Community Engagement.
So the purpose of this presentation this evening is, if you remember, back in April, I believe it was, when FACE came and did their update on the things that they had been doing and the merger of PETA and family engagement into FACE. We mentioned that we were researching some possible restructure options. So we have completed our research, completed our stakeholder review, and are going to present that to you this evening. Next slide, please. So kind of the purpose that we have, as I said, we've kind of become that one division. We also rewrote our mission and are aligning a lot of our work from FACE to those family engagement standards. When we realized and got into this work, we thought the current structure we have is really not conducive to a lot of the things that we want to do. And so we want to better align the structure of this division in order to better meet our mission and vision, and then also meet the needs of our stakeholders. So the process we used for this is we searched around the county for some exemplar family engagement divisions and structures. We got a lot of this from the National Academy of Family and Community Engagement, NAFCE, where a lot of our research comes out of already. So we looked at some of the leading school districts that had great family engagement models and looked to them to help inform us with what we want to do with this division. Some of those included National Metro, which has a population similar to St. Louis, Fairfax, Virginia Public, Miami-Dade Public, Philadelphia Public, Cleveland Public, and then Colorado has a state model. And so we were able to talk to those leaders at the state level and talk about the different models they have throughout Colorado. And then we, from there, developed a proposed model and took it to a variety of stakeholders for some feedback. So just to refresh your memory a little bit, the mission of the FACE division is to partner with students, families, and staff in order to support student specialized academic, social, emotional needs and promote that self-determination, equitable opportunities, as well as authentic inclusion. And these are the 5 national engagement standards that we align all of our work to, as you see on the slide. So I thought we would describe our current structure and then the proposed structure. So currently we do have 3 administrators in FACE. We have Adrienne England, who is the FACE manager, which is a 12-month position. Latrice Morgan, who is a FACE administrator, that is also a 12-month position. And Deborah Fiasco, who is a 10-month administrator position. Also, with our supports and liaisons, we have Michelle Franklin, who is the Family and Community Outreach Support, which is a 10-month position. Emily Lavu, who is a FACE liaison, which is a 10-month position. And we had a retiree at the end of the year last year, and we had not filled that position yet because we knew this restructuring. We were going to be proposing the restructuring, so felt like we wanted to bring that new person in under the new structure as opposed to bringing them into a structure that was going to be changing. But we would like to hire for that position very soon. Next slide. So what our suggested restructure looks like is developing a director level that can oversee all of the operations and kind of be the head of the division. And I'll go into kind of the assigned duties of each of these positions right after this slide. Then we would have the 2 coordinator positions, one really focused on family engagement initiatives, and the second really focused on our community engagement. Under that family engagement coordinator, we would have the 3, what used to be called liaisons, but some of the more current language and in alignment with family engagement is a family ambassador. Next slide. And so the director would really be looking at the thematic pieces of family engagement. So that would include our CSIP strategy our strategic plan, strategy that we have in place, being the chair of that. They would also be the liaison with our district-wide PAC, and run our community of practice that we have, where many of our partner districts that have strong family engagement meetings come together and share practices. We have kind of been the head of that, and so this person would take charge of that. We do have our family hub, so remember, up at North Tech, which has the food pantry, as well as bringing in community partners for our families to engage with. And then they would also be that liaison between partner districts and SSD, especially those partner districts who have that strong family engagement or want to develop that strong family engagement pieces with their districts. They would also be in charge of looking at the data, the impact data from this division, and ensuring that we have both qualitative as well as quantitative data to guide our continuous improvement processes. They would also be the liaison with all other divisions within the district, and making sure that they're collaborating with them and that family engagement is considered in pieces that may come forward. The family engagement coordinator would really be looking at those things related specific to family engagement. So that would include the SSD schools, family engagement committees and action plans, family resources and workshops, our Leadership Institute, as well as our academy, the Lunch and Learn. That would be a partnership with the community, depending on who the speaker was at the time. Our family cafes, and then our new teacher orientation, where we, with our new teachers, develop positive family engagement strategies and background knowledge through our continuous classroom improvement and teacher-student partnership training. And then they would also support the SSD schools handbooks, ensuring that they are family-friendly language. Community engagement coordinator would really be working with those community partnerships, not only to help strengthen family engagement from the lens of family engagement, not only to help strengthen school programs, but also looking at family practices and student development. They would also have a big hand in the hub. You know, that takes a village to keep that hub running. But those partnerships where we bring in from the community for families to access at the hub would be a focus for them. We also do our agency collaboration meetings, and they would be in charge of those, as well as sitting on any community boards that might be represented by faith. They would help with the community partnerships for the Lunch and Learn, and then as we have community and service organizations coming in to support our family events, such as FLI, Family Leadership Institute, or our Family Academy. They would also be a partner with our community partners person in communication to ensure we have good communication at both of those levels. And then our ambassadors, they're kind of our boots on the ground piece, if you will. They're the ones that would be helping support those district PACs, also working our call center when families, we do get a lot of calls from families needing support or resources, working our resource center, staffing our family hub, as well as working with both coordinators for events and activities. Timeline we'd like to look at is you will have a proposal or a motion for approval this evening, and so we're hopeful that that would become board approved. And then in October, we would be able to post that vacancy position we have and hire that person as under the new structure as a family ambassador. And then in January, we would post all other positions, and that would be for that one start date. One of the reasons for the delay there is we do have people currently in positions. And some of those people may want to continue on in one of the new positions, and some of those folks may want to go a different route. And so we wanted to ensure they would have the positions that they are currently hired for through the rest of the school year. And then in January, they can decide if they want to apply for one of the new positions, or if maybe we're not going in the direction they want to go, or they want to try something different, we would help them. Questions you might have for us?
Go ahead.
The family ambassadors, are we talking 3 or 4 or what?
So currently I have 3.
Right.
And so that's what I would start with the thought of seeing how that goes, and then possibly coming back for a 4th if we feel, if the data shows that is needed at a later time.
So what we're saying is, current time, we would keep the same number of employees that we had before.
That is correct.
But depending upon the need, yeah, 1 more employee, is that correct?
That is correct. But we would bring you the data to support that additional position if that became a need.
That'll go through the budgeting process if we need to at that time.
Absolutely.
Thank you, I just want to make sure.
Absolutely.
What is the, thank you for the presentation. What is the anticipated cost of the district of the restructuring?
That's a question I have to get you on. Currently, the increase in charge will be with the director position. But we don't see a huge change in the current budget.
Now you've got me, I was all willing to vote yes. Until I get the money, I'm not gonna vote. I can't vote for this. Come up, when we have a presentation like this, we're doing this, can't you tell us how much it's gonna cost? That makes sense to me. Don't ask me to vote for something to give you a blank check. I think it's a great idea. I just don't want to give you a blank check.
I have a question. For the director role, did they go to other paths also, or just art? Because I can see that hopefully other, partnerships in paths.
The partnership pack, so that could be the ambassadors, that could be the coordinators, that could be the director.
Okay.
Definitely at that ambassador role, that's where, those are our boots on the ground, that's where we see the support. And we currently do that now, where we're supporting those district packs.
Okay. And then for the family ambassadors, would that be, I think it is now by zone, there's the south, the central, and the north?
Yes. We're looking at more strengths-based models, where depending on the request, we would do some cross-training, but we have some folks, for example, Deb Basco is very well-versed in guardianship. So if a district was requesting guardianship, we may have her come until we build capacity of the others for that. So we're kind of looking at that more strengths-based model, where we can spread the support with the expertise that we have within the division as needed.
I'd like to make a motion to table this vote until we have more information on the cost of the change.
I second, and I agree, the program sounds great. When a program is presented to us, can we have a financial on it too?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so all in favor of tabling this for this meeting? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. The next item up for, I almost said up to bid, as if I'm Bob Barker. Oh my gosh. Next item is the 2023 extended school year, ESY, and summer program update. Yeah, come on down.
Come on down.
Good evening, President Popcroft, Board of Directors, Dr. King. I am Wendy Pendergrass, Chief Academic Officer and part-time freelance photographer. This evening, what I will do for you is update you on the extended school year and summer programs, how it went this year. So I am very excited to announce that this year we had over 1,660 applicants apply for the positions for both ESY and our summer programs. We did, however, have a difficult time, as I reported to you right at the end of the year, with our nursing staff. We did have to contract 12 additional nurses. Happily, though, all of our students by the second day of ESY were attending school. So we were able, with that 12 nurse contract support, to get them into summer programs and ESY. I need to go the right way. So the report that, the next several slides actually have the numbers, just broken down by the numbers, to the students that were eligible in all of our partner districts, and an estimate of students that would attend. Mind you, those numbers may have fluctuated by 2 to 5 students per week, because you had families that were taking vacations or taking part in other camps. So there's the first half from the partner districts, and here's the second half from the partner districts. For SSD schools, for the first time this year, we actually have students that could have been eligible for ESY through the Bridges program. We were actually going to offer the students the program. None of them, unfortunately, qualified for it. The IEP teams decided that they weren't necessarily going to need it. We have our numbers for our extended school year. Because of some of the programs that we offer, the summer programs, our numbers seem to be a little bit better. We have more students attending ESY and going into the summer programs. 237 families, when we sent out the surveys, were actually replied. Of those families that we sent out the surveys to, only 28 of the families participated in both ESY and summer programs, which I still think is positive. Our families, we received overall on our surveys very strong feedback from our families that participated in the surveys, but also families that I was able to speak to in the summer programs and the ESY programs. They received good communication, which was a concern, if you remember, in the past, trying to get that information out as soon as we could, times, dates. Of course, we did receive some comments that the parents didn't receive it soon enough, so we will continue to work on those dates. We really focused on sending IEP goals home for students in summer to make sure our families knew exactly what we were working on and the achievements the students were making. They received another area for next year that we would work on for ESY is consistent information. You had a range of a teacher that would send a class letter home every week while the students were engaged to every other week. So get some consistency with our families. What seems to cause is the students move through our summer programs, or they continue to do ESY. One summer they have a teacher that communicates by sending the letter home every week, and then the next year the teacher may not do that. So that's something that we want to work on with consistency. Transportation, there was a huge shout out, so thank you to Kenny. We received 95% of our families said they strongly agree that they received all of their information for transportation. The times, drivers were pleasant, except for a few hiccups of, kids getting on the bus late or going, transportation had really vastly improved this year. So, thank you. What we can do for our opportunities for feedback on our families, last minute information, we received that. They would like a call as soon as possible from the ESY teacher so they know where their student is going if it's not going to be the same teacher. Missed days for students needing one-on-one nurses. We did have the one student that missed a couple of days, so we would like to get our contracts in sooner or be able to hire nurses right off the bat. Making sure staff has adequate training, so making sure they're really familiar on day one with ESY on students that have support plans or behavior plans. And then, as I said, the struggling with our nurses. Families did report the strengths that they, for the first time, really saw the tie from what was happening in the school year right back to what was happening during ESY. That was very clear. Transportation again, families really reported an overall positive experience with students. Families also reported a positiveness of staff as they were interacting with their students and supporting their students, whether It was from our related service to our teaching staff to administrators in the building. It was just overall a positive experience. Customer service, I wanted to give out, this year, more than others, our families put teachers' names or staff names in their feedback, their written feedback, which was very nice. So I wanted the teachers that did such an amazing job to get some direct feedback. So we had Ms. Carter, we had Ms. Craig, Ms. Hooper, so I think it's important. Ms. Shue. So also to publicly recognize the great jobs that they did in being named. Absolutely. So what we can learn, because it's always learning, we'll still work on communications. Transportation is key, and early and often making sure that they understand exactly where they're going to be picked up on, exactly when the dates are at summer school, exactly multiple avenues on how to reach it, whether it's in the director's newsletter that they send out, whether it's on our email, whether it's on our partner district's email. Still the number one reason when we were asking families why they're not participating in ESY or summer programs, they need a break. They just need a break from school. So that's, I don't know how we counteract that, make it so enjoyable or so fun, maybe they just can't stay away. Families and students appreciated breakfast and lunch in our SSD schools. That was a really common theme, that they really appreciated that they didn't have to worry about it. It wasn't a struggle. They knew they were going to get breakfast and they were going to get lunch. The structure provided supported students' programs, so group sizes were really small. They were intentful. Students felt comfortable. We want to make sure that that stays the same as we start looking at the sizes of some of our students needing RBT or ABA services. We want to make sure that we're able to keep those sizes in smaller group sizes and intentful group sizes. It was reported that right as a handful of families reported right as the students finally got into roles and routines, the program was over, right, or summer school was over. So that's something that we can continue to partner with, having the opportunity of our public speaker that has a 10-week summer program. Maybe there's some ways that we can partner with other things that when our services would stop, we can find them some other program. Questions might you have? Rock, paper, scissors.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I think I can speak for all of us. I think we all agree this is a wonderful program. I'm glad to see it's growing. I do have a question in regards to the early childhood special education map.
Yes.
For the areas where services are not provided, can you speak to that? Why is that?
Not sure.
Oh, this is the next presentation.
That's the next presentation.
Mine are wrong.
Yeah, hers is ESY. Oh, but then that's not in there.
Yeah,
that got mixed in there.
Okay.
You're right, you're okay, Scott, yeah. It's got people in there.
For the next
You
presentation.
can see that.
But it's, I saw it in your column, right? ECSE.
Yeah, it was on page.
Right.
Yes, we have CCSE students that attend. So always remember that we run our own summer programs, and then we have our coalition districts. So the students that qualify for extended school year in the programs that we run for early childhood, that is their account.
Actually, I think is year-round. Actually, I think is year-round. ECS. No, okay. So.
I will look at the map and I will get back to
If you don't
you.
mind.
Sixth grade.
So it's great to, I just will
Yeah,
not provide.
Stacey will go into that. She'll explain
Okay,
the
got it.
coalition ones, what we are enjoying, working with them, and then some
Gotcha.
districts do it on their own.
Got it. Okay.
I have a comment and a question about and again, thank you for the presentation. ESY is awesome. Speaking to the first and the last bullet point, the second and the last bullet point of your last slide there, commenting that many families did not participate because they wanted a break from school. The last comment I think was important because every year when I talk to families and kids in sort of July and August, as the ESY is ending, there's a sense of dread of, oh my gosh, here comes this time, and, they cannot wait for school to start again. So my question is, and I apologize because I'm giving some people headaches right now. What if we did ESY for 2 months in the summer for our SSD schools? What would that look like? Would that help us with, for example, nursing recruitment who may want to work for 2 months in the summer instead of 1? What would be the cost of the district to do something like that?
I can get the cost for the districts, of course, working with, each Saturday. As far, my only concern for that, would that be great? In a perfect world, that would be year-round school, finding staff to do that.
Okay. I know
That would be
I'm
my
creating
only-
headaches
my
just
only
by asking the
concern.
question, but.
I think how could we do that? How could we juggle that and also provide breaks for students? Because I think, students need break and need to not be engaged in, a routine.
I think that's true for many students. I think there's a subset of students, probably the students with highest needs, for which that's probably the opposite, where the break from routine is more stressful.
More stressful?
In my experience, maybe for some kids.
Sure,
It's hard.
Yeah.
So anyways, okay.
Right.
Headache.
You know what, I'll look into it. Why not look into it?
That's why it's fantastic. This is one thing I think, this is money well spent. I think this is truly money well spent. I also like the idea, if we did the extension, and I'd love to see the figures and the possibility and whether we could do that. If we did that merged with our summer school program, or how would that go?
Well, for students for ESY is decided by an IEP team. So those services and delivery of minutes would be what would maintain a student in retaining or recouping lost skills. So that would be decided by the IEP team. What I think we might need to look at is possibly additional summer programming, right? That an IEP team possibly would not be deciding what those minutes would look like, because also with that, you would be looking at transportation as a related service for some of our students. So not only would that be staffing during the teaching staff, the support staff, but it also providing transportation for our students as well. So there would be some.
If we're going to look at it, that's the other aspect of it. I think it's a great point. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on our agenda is to present an update on the Early Childhood Special Education Program, ECS. And your map that was in the first program, your map that was in the ESY, rip it out, and out in the second one.
Good evening, President Patron, members of the board and community. I have Stacy Sturdivant, Director of Early Childhood Special Education, who will be presenting to you updates from her department.
Good evening, President Patron, members of the board, Dr. Keenan. Again, I am here to present the update of early childhood special education, and as you know, we're fond of our acronyms, so from here out, it'll probably be ECS. Everyone, you think I know? So, when we look at special considerations for the ECSE department, our students are 3 through 5 years old. Many of our students are eligible for service upon their 3rd birthday. This means that our enrollment is throughout the entire year. We start off with what I will say lower numbers, but this year it doesn't seem to be that low in the fall, and then they increase as the school year goes on. We work very closely with the Missouri First Steps program, and this is an intervention program that's for children who are within the age range of birth through 3. They are no longer eligible for their services upon their 3rd birthday, and that is when they transition over to us. So when we look at the partnership, we service 14 of the 22 partner districts in St. Louis County. We have 6 coordinators who are specific to ECSE, and they cover different regions. Those are shown here by different colors. There is the full-size map that you referenced so that you can just see it a little bit bigger on that slide. In addition to the 6 coordinators who are specifically just for ECSE, we are also supported by Ben Gleason, who is part of the DHH program and supports the ECSE program that is housed at Ladue for those students. We also work closely with the Urban League and YWCA Head Start programs. They have 5 centers that are stationed in the districts that we service, as well as they provide support in other child care centers. When you look at the gray districts, those are what we refer to as coalition districts. Those coalition districts run their own EC and ECSE programs. The benefit that they have, and this is just a supposition on my part, is that they are able to have more control and flexibility when they run both programs and how they do an integration of services. They do each run it differently and uniquely, but they do have some of the same rules that we have when it comes to special education services. But some of those programs may have a dually enrolled teacher who can provide services for both of those students in and out of a program. And then there's always the fact that they are in more control of the finances in terms of the ECSE, so that they can look at more of those things that they do. However, they may utilize those in some supports, but we still might provide some supports to them in specialized areas, such as the ALCOM facilitators who were here earlier when they won many grants. They will still provide some support in some of those districts. On this slide, you will see the enrollment trends. We are seeing an increase in our enrollment, and they are starting to recoup to the numbers of students who we were seeing prior to 2020. Now, this is a benefit because we feel like the students are coming back to school. Parents are feeling that it's safe. In a lot of instances, when they were able to get learning through MOCAP or in other situations, that was for our older students. Our younger students were pretty much staying at home, staying with family members, or maybe going to a local daycare that might have a little less flexibility in terms of what they were presenting. Some of those students may spend part of their day with us now. So that is probably why we are on that increase. We have 7 teams who are specifically established to support ECSE for evaluation purposes. They primarily work to support our intake process. We also have the 14 districts and Head Start assigned to our teams, and we have a reevaluation team as well. This team helps to support transfers who may come from other districts in the state. They may come from out of state or from other locations. They help to process their documents, as well as reevaluations and overflow for the other teams. In addition, we are supported by the specialists in other areas who they bring that specific area of expertise to the evaluation process. When looking at the current trends, we do consider all 13 categories of eligibility for our students, but we do look at what will provide the best educational supports for them at the time that they are evaluated, and these are the top 3 that they primarily are deemed eligible for. Young child with a developmental delay, speech, and one of the aforementioned areas here, and autism. These are the top ones that we typically see. And I apologize, it is from 2023. I don't know, I had slippery fingers and I just was typing 2021 at the time. There are 7 placements that the state of Missouri has for ECSE. We utilize 5 of those placements here at special school districts. At this time, we do not have any residential facilities that I'm aware of for this level. And separate schools, we exited having our students served in those capacities in the early 90s. One thing that I would like to highlight here is that home is separate from homebound. The homebound department provides services for our students who are school-age eligible. However, the home setting is also for our medically fragile preschool students. Our itinerant staff, they go in and they provide that support. And then throughout the time that we are providing those services, we always monitor to see if it is ever deemed eligible and safe for them to return to the school setting. These are the service settings that we have. They correlate to those placements that were on the previous slide. One thing that I would also like to highlight here is our self-contained settings. Those are classrooms that all the students who are enrolled, they do have IEPs, but in addition to ones that may have higher numbers, we also have what we call a lower incidence classroom setting, and those are ones that are defined by the state of Missouri as students who supposedly have lower incidence of eligibility. And for that, that is typically our deaf, hard of hearing students or students with autism. And so those numbers can fluctuate back and forth, which is why I say low. There are 7 approved curriculums that DESE has for the early childhood level of instruction, and they are all listed here. The majority of the schools and districts in our area do utilize Project Construct, which if you'll see on this next slide. The 14 districts that we work in partnership do utilize Project Construct. We have 2 which utilize Reggio as well. Reggio Emilia is a constructivist curriculum, but they have more specific ways in which they have tracking of observations of the students and the data that they use. So it's a very specific way of doing that and very project focused. If you will look at the second column, this column are curriculum that we use for modifications in various districts. And most of the curriculum that you see listed there are for social emotional development, which is where we are seeing a great need for our students at this time. So what do we do for curriculum and learning when we are working with this youngest age group? We play. Because for children, they learn as they play, and most importantly, in play, children will learn how to learn. The National Association for the Education of Young Children has a curricular standard that states a curriculum must promote learning and development in the following areas: social, emotional, physical, language, and cognitive. Play is an essential component of early childhood education, and it impacts all key areas of development. As you will see here, there are areas that it impacts your ability to play with others, your ability to learn, your ability to move and do things. I like to relate it to some of the facts that I've learned from watching Jeopardy or from playing Trivia Pursuit. There are many things that I'm like, ha! And it stuck. And it stuck because it was a fun way for me to learn it. On this slide, you will see the following, the last 2, but not the least 2 important, because they are all important domains in which we learn in preschool, in which we learn through play. And to quote the ever-famous and very important Mr. Rogers, play is often talked about as if it were a release from serious learning, but for children, play is serious learning. It is the work that they go to every single day that they show up. DESE has a few expectations for ECSE instruction, one of which is a definition for school readiness, and it is being prepared in key dimensions of early learning and in our development. It is a set of skills that must be in place as the foundation for all future learning. You first have to learn to sit, you first have to learn how you want to attend, and then you will be able to learn all of the information. One thing that we also share with all of our students, with most of our students, is that we have an early childhood outcome rating that is reported to DESE upon entry into our program and then upon exit to kindergarten. I say this for most of our students because you need to be in the receipt of services for at least 6 months so that there's enough time for them to see that growth over time. So this is the caveat that DESE has provided. When looking at our department, there are a couple of goals that we have moving forward. One barrier that we have is that we are in silos of our 14 districts, and we work with them when it's the beginning of the year to work on goals and things that are important to each of those buildings, and we do want to honor that. But we would also like to honor that there is a learning department across the county would be able to benefit our students in if we would come together. So we are working on a way that even if we present the information to you separately, you still receive that unified piece of information. Another goal that we have is alignment of the Missouri Early Learning Standards. Those are the methods that we use to develop our IEP goals, that we provide our instruction based on, and that we utilize as our focus when planning for what we are going to do and teach our students each day. We would like to come up with a way to correlate that with the kindergarten standards so that when we come together at those transition meetings, we have a connection through a shared language. It's not we are looking at preschool from a social lens and we are looking at kindergarten from an academic lens. It is a how do those things connect so that we can have that smoother transition for the students as they move forward. We would like to focus on doing this in a strategic approach to partnership with our stakeholders for both goals. So in partnership with our partner districts that we service, and also in partner district with our school-age team that we will be passing the students on to as they move forward. What questions might I answer for you?
I don't know, slide 10, if that's possible to go back. Parkway had a whole bunch of things, instead of just conscious discipline. So can you talk about maybe why?
Parkway is our biggest district that we provide services for, and they have a variety and the most, not only classrooms, but the most buildings as well. And so they do work with the early childhood department itself. However, they also have a larger team so that they utilize a lot of different things. Conscious discipline is one that we utilize a lot in our department, and that is supported by our student support facilitators. Every move counts is one that is geared more towards our early learners, so those who have a lot of skills, so they have a lot more students who are having those needs, and they have focused on using that a lot more, as well as second steps and strong start. The zones of regulation is something that they are using with less frequency. However, it's just something that each building seems to use as more of a support, and I think that this becomes something that they have mastered as a technique that they find beneficial in those individual buildings.
Any other questions? Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so guys, do I have a motion on the table for the approval of the consent items minus? Oh, I crossed it out. What's wrong with me? 5.04, HR OESE retention and recruitment efforts. I'm sorry, on a game show, I don't know what's going on.
Good evening, President Potter, Board Director, Coach again, Chief People Culture Officer. Coming to bring you updates on our retention improvement efforts over this past year. So a big piece of the changes that we have done over the past year is to try to gather employee data. One of the major deliverables for our success managers is making sure they're getting out into districts and meeting with people and interviewing them through the process of staying. Purpose is to really understand what's motivating our employees and also figure out, where are some additional areas. It is also a wonderful tool for employee engagement. And totally, what we've heard back from staff members is that they appreciate the opportunity to be heard, and without judgment, but just really giving us a breakdown of what's going right and what we could do better. From last fall to the present, we had approximately 308 state interviews that were completed, with a plan to complete 10 per success manager and recruitment manager per quarter going forward. We used Qualtrics as a platform, and we tried to make sure that we went across employee groups. As you can see, we had teacher level, administrator, paraprofessionals, and some. Now, what's really important to think about what can the data tell us about how employees are feeling. So one of the most important questions we ask is, why do you stay? What motivates you? And the focus on the mission is important, and I think that really speaks to what we see as a trend across the country. They are motivated by their ability to align their values with the organization that they're with. We also doing, I think, a fairly good job on salary benefits. And when we look at some of the other things that people notice is that I believe we're trending better in terms of some of the training, and we're doing a lot of work on culture. And in terms of what they like most, people really felt connected to the idea that we were supporting students, and that they have great connections with their colleagues, and they feel that they have opportunity to really be part of something special, The idea of being part of an organization that supports children, I think continues to resonate. Overall, about 85% of the people that were interviewed expressed being somewhat satisfied to extremely satisfied. This is basically going to be a baseline year for us. So we intend to bring back to the board over the next couple of years the impact that we hope to see because of the ways that we're intervening and engaging with our staff. Now, we also think it's important to understand, what are some of the bumps and warts that we have to address as well. We believe in process improvement, organizational improvement, and so you need to know that, what people are concerned about. Some people have brought up the fact that they're concerned about the level of paperwork. Caseload workload has been a common situation that has been brought up. People feeling like they may not have enough time. And also some frustrations with some of the aspects of partner-district relations. Additionally, we also utilize exit interviews to help inform what should be our steps for intervention. So what are the exit interviews? Basically, as employees are going out, whether it's resignation or retirement, we send them a survey, and we ask them to tell us about what their experience was like. Everywhere from asking about how things work in terms of culture to did they feel supported by their supervisor, and to identify any issues that were kind of paramount in their decision in terms of leaving. So during the past school year, we had 209 exit survey responses. That's from approximately a total of 422 employees that did exit the district, whether through resignation or retirement. When we looked at the reasons, the top 5 reasons that staff resigned, relocating out of the area emerged, but also relocating out of the area also involved many times people also going to a new job, getting a promotion. And for others, we looked at situations where people had family considerations that they wanted to consider. We also had some people that were, as you see, changing the right? And increasingly, we are looking at people that are doing things like deciding to take their talents into other industries. Now, in terms of looking at the bottom 5 reasons, it's also important to really understand some of the other reasons so that a lot of times people say, okay, people are leaving because of X thing. And one of the common thoughts was people were leaving because of supervisor relationships. And that actually was lower, one of the lowest reasons that people leave. So what are some suggestions for staff have communicated that they would like to see among SSD teachers in their workload. Again, looking at the potential for better pay, really looking at how we develop strategies of engagement, and looking to, especially when we speak to our professional force, making sure that we're acknowledging the work, making sure that they're doing it. So another thing that we wanted to do was to show some changes in trends over time for the past 3 years when it came to work conditions. We look at one of the areas, I had a clear understanding of what was expected of me. We do see a slight downward trend on that, and the next thing that we need to do with that information is to really hone down and figure out what is it that we're missing in terms of possibly some of the onboarding experiences and orientation, so we can make sure that people are feeling like they have their understanding of their role, making sure that we're supporting administrators in going over evaluation tools and expectations as well. About learning and development, again, I feel like what some of the trend data is telling us is that we've actually done a lot of work to make sure that our orientations are growing, but there apparently is there's some disconnect. So we intend to go deeper in some of our data dives to understand what's going on. Benefits, for the most part, we are going through a lot of changes with our benefits, and I'll talk about a little bit of that later. We expect to see some changes in this trend data next year because of the additional items that we've added to the benefit package. But the most important thing is that, real-time data allows for real-time solutions. So some of the things that we've been doing is that we're better utilizing district technology, doing simple things like implementing a single sign-on so people don't have to keep on remembering 5,000 passwords. We used partnership during collective bargaining to make sure that we were looking at compensation, really expanding the use of more in-person employee orientation, and then providing additional learning opportunities and compensation for professionals to include the creation of a summer wellness camp. In terms of insurance and benefits, some of the things that we've done is we wanted to expand what was happening with our additional offerings that were just part of the insurance plan, but also some of the weight management, musculoskeletal management, looking at expansion of care APC health plans, which will be discussed later, and enhancing our dental plan. And starting in January, after open enrollment, we'll be able to make sure our staff have access to pet insurance as well, access to dental and health maintenance for their pets. In terms of employee relations, we wanted to make sure we continue to use automated processes, especially because of the amount of leads that we have as an organization. The employee relations team is also overseeing its department with our HR data analysts to make sure we have a planning process that is, and then also making sure that there is additional collaboration, especially now with our oncoming director of ADA, Dr. Allison Dawes. There continues to be collaboration with our DEIA team, making sure that we have equitable processes, both in terms of patient grievance procedures, and then making sure that we have increased our staff trainings and support site visits for if there are issues that occur. The recruitment and retention team has also been working on streamlining the screening process, trying to make sure that they're being the primary person to help administrators walk through candidates and making sure that we're increasing our presence at recruiting events and also with potential partners such as UMSL, Fonfon, and Webster Road University. Answer your question.
I got a question on the exit survey. One thing that really stood out to me wasn't talking about the morale in the department and the school environment. Why? That shows now again, these are just people that left. 25% that was said there was a bad morale, not a good morale. And 2 says 30%, so it shows that there was worse morale. In 22-23, after we've done all these things, it was 45% of the people who thought that there was a bad morale. That is one thing we're going to start diving. We're going to start looking at this data. That's one thing I really want to know. Why did 45% of the people say the way that we go? The people who left say, hey, we don't have a good morale here.
I think that when we look at the trend data on that, that's incredibly important information.
We didn't talk about that here, but you didn't mention that in your presentation.
It is one of those things too where I look at this as this past year is really year one where we're implementing additional ways of engagement, additional supports, the additional compensation. So some of the responses don't really. This is not this year in terms of like people actually being impacted by the changes in our benefits, impacted by the changes in the salary. Most of these were done before, so any of those changes took effect.
And we really need to look at that because that shows the whole concept. Whatever we're doing is not working. This is individual sort of lead. They say survey, but out of that, there's many there who say, wow, in the department of school environment,
say that this past year, especially when we looked at some of the surveys that we did specifically regarding the transfer process, I would say that there have been some challenges in some of our partner districts in terms of people feeling supported. So we continue to work on figuring out how we can better partner, because part of some of the issues that we're having with the building service positions in partner districts has been because of a certain culture and morale issues. And that's why I think the stay interviews are really important, because they're going to continue to help us to hone in on ways that we can support.
I ask another question that's a layer to that. In regards to the number of exit survey responses at 209, when that 22 actually leaving, now are not getting the survey back. Did they all have the opportunity to fill it out?
Yes.
Everybody gave that chance to fill it out. So I was curious, what's your read on that when over half declined to give feedback?
I think that we would not be that different from other organizations where people, when they are ready to leave, they're ready to leave. And I think that's why it's important to have more than one survey instrument that we're using to catch them. We've had exit interviews for several years now. We've never had stay interviews. One of the other initiatives that we're working on is really starting to put together, opening up the data from successive exit interviews with also our engagement survey as well. I believe that we have a great opportunity to have a better understanding about what's going on with our employees and how better to support them. And I think sometimes with exit interviews, that's a little bit too late to get really actionable information. I believe we'll be able to do more with the success interviews, stay interviews.
And piggyback on that, slide 7 with the word plan or whatever it is, with staff being slated there. How would you read that?
So what the portal did is it picked up those situations that came up most in terms of the responses. And so the other areas that came with staff were issues around equitable pay, concerns around low staffing, and partner district resources offered to all staff.
A quick question going back to those exit survey results. Do we have data for the 2019 to 2020 school year, the same exit surveys? If so, if we do have it, could you provide a Friday memo or something like that just to compare those numbers? I'm just curious because I think the reason a lot of people left in 2020 may not have been related to issues with the workplace itself as much as it was the pandemic. So I'm just kind of curious how in 2022 to 2023 compared to 2019.
You should have updated.
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay, thank you very much. Do I have a motion on the table for 6.01 approval of the consensual items minus the 7.12 family community engagement restructure?
Thank you. Which I think has since been deleted, and 7.12 is now tabled in. Yeah, so 7.12 is now a different item.
Oh, perfect. Then
That's what I was.
scratch that said. Do I have a motion on the table for 6.01 approval of consensual items as they are now?
Yes. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Next, for action item 8.01, I think it's right, intervenor?
Yes.
Position for students who are deaf or handle blind.
These will come up and tackle that.
Good evening again. The information you have before you is for the intervenor for students who are deaf and blind. This person or an intervenor is a person who works consistently one-to-one with an individual who is deaf blind to help them to gather information, to developing youth communication skills, but also to help with supporting, and establishing relationships. The need for this intervenor position, is determined through the IEP of a student, and this person would work under the supervision of the Director of Low Incident. They are committed to providing an educational program that supports and empowers students of all learning abilities to excel at their greatest potential. These individuals, an intervenor, will support students who are deaf and blind during all and or part of the school day. They will be a part of the educational team, and they also ensure that the student has access to both general and special education by supporting with communication needs and growth. There are several duties and responsibilities of an intervenor, which include being, again, present with them throughout the day and or half of the day, supporting with IEP modifications and those techniques from an instructional standpoint that are recommended by related services staff. They also will support students to ensure that they have access to environments where they can be successful. Supporting them also with receptive and expressive communication skills, developing and maintaining interactive relationships and building trust with individuals who support our students in their well-being. Also supporting with communication methods and strategies, the best approach for students to be proficient. We want to also ensure that these students receive assistance with the use of sign language, but also other nonverbal forms of communication. We want to ensure that interveners are able to support with planning for instruction, accompanying students on community-based instruction, and helping teachers to maintain communication between home and school. In 2021-22 school year, 28 students were identified as deafblind in St. Louis County. 22-23 is 29, and 23-24, the data will be submitted in January of 2024, but the current projection is 27. Are there any questions?
So, couple of questions.
Sure.
We only need one of these people.
At this moment, there is a specific student identified that would require these services, but also beginning to look deeper to see if there are other needs, but at this point, it is a specific need.
So we're only asking for one position?
That is correct. Thank you.
All right. Oh, do I have a
I
motion?
motion approved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor for this position, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. 8.02, 2023 to 2026 Local 610 labor contract transportation. Hello.
Hello, good. Keenan, board culture officer, happy to presentation on the labor contract transportation.
Yeah, that's.
Oh.
We got the
Okay. So the negotiations with 610 Transportation started in early spring. Had some difficulties making sure that we could get on the page meetings, and then we had some delays with their ability to ratify. That's why we're bringing to you this thing. We have robust negotiations and really try to concentrate on figuring out how we, again, at this from equity lens, making sure that education members have access to life benefits, paid days off, and just making sure that we have good conversations about how we support education. We had a traditional collective bargaining process as opposed to IBB, or we have not. Go to the next slide. But we did definitely try to approach this from the standpoint of still initially coming out with the idea idea about how do we support the employee, and their work experience. In terms of the negotiations overview, next slide. Again, the association was, agreed to, having a lead PTO bank. They also have the same type of, agreement leave for, employees and associations, increases the PTO payout, and, additional pay for emergency closures and inclement weather. A lot of what we have done with, the Six and Transportation team, language changes, a lot of clerical updates. We also included additional language regarding vacancies, 5 was assignments for basic instruction and route work, and also we had substantive changes to Article 9 regarding work schedules, overtime, and compensation. Looked at Article 10, leave of absence. We updated the additional leaves to be part of that JR, and also looked at revising it. But again, mainly language changes for Articles 12, 16, and 21. We updated the attendance. So, revised appropriate attendance to the original language. But overall, our increases in costs for transportation has first year roughly 600,000, and stay pretty stable in 2 and 3. Answering questions.
Just one quick one. What is support for licensure costs?
Helping or assisting employees in terms of their updated costs for CEOs.
Just didn't know what it was.
Any other questions? Right. Motion for 8.03, emergency approval. Motion for 8.02, 2023, 23, Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Now, we have 8.03, emergency approval of the GCBDA and GDBDA support staff leave and professional staff leave. Do that by text.
So moved.
Second.
One of the offerings that are going to be coming to our employees this year is going to be the openings of the care ATC clinics that are located in areas around the county. One of the ways in which we want to incentivize the attendance at the care ATC clinics is to offer employees 1.5 hours of PTO that's not chargeable to their current bank in order to utilize the care ATC clinics. This is going to be a great advantage for our employees because there's typically not going to be a copay. There's also a pharmaceutical aspect that's available, and for the most part, they'll be able to get same day or next day appointments.
I think it's a great idea. Now, on a revision though, for an emergency to have this done, don't we have to say something ahead of time according to our policies of why it's being done? But, okay, that's great. As long as it's included in the minute.
And the care ATC clinics will be opening next Monday.
October 2nd, that's what we're doing.
Same with rising COVID rates. We'll see the pops.
Can you get vaccines there?
Yeah.
All right, we have a motion for the second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you very much. All right. 9.01, we have a closed meeting of the Board of Education today after this meeting and then on October 10th at 7 o'clock.
So
Do I have a motion? Thank you. Thank you. Roll call for this.
Dr. Asner?
Yes.
Dr. Cuneo?
Yes.
Dr. Mueller?
Yes.
President Petrol?
Yes. 9.02, do we have approval of the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? 9.03, executive meeting action. The following items were approved during the executive meeting on September 8th, 2023. Employment, resignations, retirement, salary adjustments, and extra duty pay. The following items were approved during the executive meeting on August 22nd, 2023. Employment, resignations, retirement, salary adjustments, extra duty pay, and 2 contract releases. Board communications. Tommy's got a dance coming up at New Order. We're so excited. It's neon, so we have to buy new neon shirts, but it's better than us too. So that's awesome. Board regulations are on the thing, calendar events, you can read on our webpage. And do we have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much, everyone.